Okay guys, welcome back, and it's embargo day.
It is.
We love embargo day. So we have made a departure from the MP lines, which
Yes.
MP has been what it's been for a long, long time.
That's right.
So we're back. I mean, and some people will be wondering, oh, is Mizuno Pro a new kind of new line, a new standard that Mizuno are bringing to their brand? It's actually not. It's bringing back a former sort of name and tag.
More of a retro thing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But not to be confused with any sort of step backwards in performance or revisiting any performance. It's quite a major leap forward in some senses with the technology, but it's more just a different branding name, a little bit to bring North America and the Asian lines together.
Okay, makes
to bring
sense.
them more in line. 3 new lines, 221.
Yeah.
That's the blade. That's the sort of MB that we've always known.
Handsome.
It's probably the standard that everything else gets judged by, I would say.
I would agree with that.
You know, the new one, and sort of reading some of the pros comments who've been putting them in the bag already. Keith Mitchell is one of the certainly flagship guys who put them in very early. Loved the look, loved the feel, very soft. And actually said he found a different flight from them, a little bit of a lower launch. So maybe some Vertigo CG conversations to be had when we go through the 3 different heads.
Right.
So we'll be curious in that. But no surprises with this one, guys. You know what you're going to get with the Mizuno blade. It's gorgeous, it feels great, it looks great, and it's going to perform as expected. Next up, 223. That was our MMC replacement from last time.
Which was a pretty interesting iron for them from a non-JPX club, right? That was kind of the techie iron of the 3.
But this is techier.
Yes.
This is techier. So couple of major things. It is forged chromoly.
Right.
The material that Mizuno have been really excited about working with for quite some time now. So there's a bit of a difference there. It has a really kind of deep cavity, a micro slot, Mizuno are calling it.
This is quite cool here, this sort of cartridge at the back.
Yep.
A little bit like a Ping, what was that club?
It was like the I series,
I-series.
I-20, I-25.
It will remind you of that.
Almost a little rubbery. You can feel you can actually dig into it a little bit. So it allows them to get that real depth of CG, and also allows them to play a little bit with the acoustics.
And it's pretty cool. Once you look at the 7 and the 4, it's quite a pronounced cavity.
Yeah.
Once you get down to the wedge and the 9, it's quite progressive. So those clubs are much smaller of a cavity, and I don't think it has the same material back there.
Definitely. And for those of you who are Mizuno enthusiasts, who love Mizuno golf clubs and have been trying the recent lines, I think what to expect from 223 is a smaller, more compact MMC with performance characteristics more like a JPX forged.
Which is basically what you'd be looking for,
That
isn't it?
kind
in that
of
category.
is, yeah. I mean, I think everyone, when we certainly hit the 921 JPX forged, you went, wow, this is a pretty sporty iron.
Yes.
And then you look at MP, former MP, now Mizuno Pro, and you look at it and go, wow, this looks great.
The shaping
and
is
then
so
when
nice.
you kind of mesh those two, you amalgamate those 2 lines, I mean, you're kind of hitting a real sweet spot for lots of golfers out there.
Agreed.
So I expect this one to be very, very popular, Matty.
Yeah. And available for lefties.
Available for lefties.
That's the one you can get.
And not a blended set. We've seen SCL as kind of the lefty line over recent years. Somewhat of a blended set, whether it be an MP or HMB, into some kind of mid cavity, into like a tour.
Yep.
But no, this is a full line of similar 223 irons, the same as the righties.
And I think it'll work well because, as I mentioned, they do progress a little bit on their own. It's kind of like T100s. We've seen the pitching wedge and the 9 iron are a little bit smaller.
Definitely.
So I think you probably don't need to mix and match them all. It's the same way.
Quite an interesting loft progression.
Yeah, you mentioned.
Yeah, so we see from really the 4 iron to the 8 iron, we see a 2 degree stronger loft progression in 221 than the blade. Then when we get to the 9 and we get to the wedge, we actually see a softening of the loft. So whereas 221, the blade goes in 3, early on goes in 3 degree increments, then into 4, quite a natural progression for that style club. This actually goes in 5 degree increments at the end. So, the 9 iron is 41 in the 223 and 42 in the 221.
Yep.
And then both wedges are 46.
It's pretty interesting.
It is.
So they've obviously done some research. Maybe it's to do with the technology, so maybe they're getting a little bit more ball speed out of that material or something, or maybe the demand was just to have a more traditional wedge and 9-iron.
yeah.
Maybe people don't want the 9-iron and the wedge that go as far.
Nicer, more an easier transition to make into the wedges, perhaps.
Good point. Yeah, then you don't have the big gap between your
Yeah.
pitching wedge and your gap wedge. Yeah, good point.
So, so interesting there. And then one that I think really caught our eye.
Yes.
The 225, formerly known as HMB. I really liked the HMB concept last time. I was so excited to see, that they brought out a hollow body, what looks very much like a Mizuno blade, but it had all the technical attributes. But for me, I think I probably was on record a few times saying it was just a little big for my eye.
Agree.
I would have loved to have seen it being reduced in size by 15-20%. It kind of looks as exactly what
It
they've
kind of
done.
answered your prayers there.
Yeah.
When I first was taking all these out of the boxes and just trying to make sense of what was what. And when I first took these out, I did think this was the blade until I saw 225,
Yeah, you
not
thought it was like a
221.
satin blade.
Yeah, so obviously once you do get them side by side, sure, you can tell. This is a bit thicker in the sole, a bit thicker in the top line and such, and a bit bigger of a head, but it is quite a bit slimmer than the HMB is.
Yep.
And I think in terms of a hollow body iron, they may now have the best looking one kind of out there. It's very compact. Like you wouldn't guess this was at all a game improvement iron.
No. I would 100% say, for me, so far, this is the best looking hollow body set I've seen to date. A little bit stronger than the Loft in 223.
Okay.
A degree stronger, sort of from the sort of 6, 7, 8, and then 2 degrees stronger when it gets to the 9 in the wedge.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
So where the 223 starts to soften, like we just talked about, these retain their strength. 39 degree 9-iron, 44 degree pitch and wedge. Definitely for the player. Not necessarily now who's looking for more forgiveness, although it will give you a little more forgiveness. Maybe just a stronger flight.
I would agree with
because
that.
of the very visually appealing profile of this iron, Matty. I think you could play at any level with these.
And it's just the person looking to hit the ball a bit further, right?
Yep.
And that's all it really is. As you said, I think there probably is some nice forgiveness in here, but I think more so people will pick that up going, I want an iron that goes further but doesn't look big at address.
Yeah. Impressive stuff.
Those are sharp. Yeah, really sharp.
Two little add-ons. We have 3 of them because we also have some different loft progressions, but there's a couple of really nice driving iron options as well, Matty.
So first was this one, which technically is a 225,
Part
right?
of the 225 family.
So 2 iron all the way up to gap wedge you can get, which is pretty interesting.
Which is cool, isn't it?
So as a 2 iron driving iron, this is 16.5, you said?
16.5.
Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's very small as driving irons go. I mean, you can see that sole width versus the fly high sole width.
Yeah.
Drastically different.
Definitely.
So I think this might be, we're going to test it obviously.
Yeah.
This might be kind of on the short list for a super low kind of flying 2 iron, driving iron. Like the P790 had that.
Absolutely.
Pretty much had the lowest.
17 degree 2 iron. That
was kind of the
very
lowest
strong.
stinger iron out there. This
It
might
was.
kind of give it a run for its money.
Yeah, and you've kind of got two variations on how you want to experience the 2 iron. You've got the 225, which is very much a carry-on or an extension of the blended of the HMB set as a design. And it feels like, obviously, that with the chromoly 4s, the fly high is very different.
Yes.
This is you can hear how techy the face is. It's much, well, to me, it would come across like a bit of a quicker head. I think you're probably likely to get a little more ball speed out of that. Some people might not be looking for that. Some people might be looking for more of a progression with the irons. So it just really depends what you want. Okay, well, we hit some.
We should
get
hit some.
And guys, we're going to do some initial impressions here.
Yeah.
We're not going to do the deep dive. We're going to hit them. We're going to hit them kind of fairly quickly, set into set, so we can get our initial thoughts, sounds. We'll look at the numbers a little bit, but we're not going to dissect them, right? So don't think that we're missing out any details. We're not. We're just going to get there a little bit later. But we're trying to condense a lot of the initial impressions like we've done here. This is a longer talking segment than we would normally do.
Definitely.
And we'll combine that with a shorter hitting segment, but the in-depth hitting segment's coming.
Yeah, we'll have those after these ones.
Definitely. Okay, let's hit some Matty Boy. All right, Matty Boy. We're back to the lovely Real Club Valderrama.
Yes. Gorgeous.
Yeah, it was pretty cool last week in the match with Mac, and we thought we're going to use a couple of these holes today for some testing.
Definitely.
We're out to number 12 here. A nice little downhill par 3. I mean, the par 3s are tough around here. Tiny greens.
They are small greens.
Tiny. So, when you've got, when we're only going to really do mid-irons in this initial test, just to get some thoughts and feels and some initial impressions. But we should be on a good shot hitting this target, and on a miss, you won't hit this target. You'll miss it. It's a very, very small green.
Very demanding.
Definitely. Okay, let's. You've got the 223, obviously the only lefty that they make. Not the Project X shaft in this.
Yeah, so they sent us a couple sets of these. They have Modus 115s in there, which is quite nice.
Great choice.
It's a really nice choice. You
really
usually
like
say
that.
something 110-ish is a good weight category for that player.
Absolutely. Yep. Good boy, Matty. Give it a chance. Go on, do it. Just do it.
Bounce right a bit.
Just do it.
Ooh,
Oh,
look at that bounce. My very, very, very first impression is that has a lot of pop on it for a MP iron.
Yeah, peak height. Really, really nice. A good amount of retained spin. Efficient without being hot.
Yes.
So everything in line there. Good.
Lovely. It's a little thin, or probably a lot thin. Getting away with it though. That's good to see. So we lost a few yards of carry, a little lower launch, but
You'd love to see that, wouldn't you?
yeah.
Yeah, that was in the middle
strike.
of the club. That's probably going to go up pin high. I
So-
mean, that would probably be the shot you would try and play something at the flag and turn in a little bit.
To the safer side.
Yeah.
It's a really good feeling iron. That's a good one too. There's nothing not to like about these. Really isn't.
If we look at the little cluster, you love to see this. One of the things we look at with good players, with these types of irons, I like to cluster the peak height of the trajectory. I like to get this bunched in really nicely. I don't mind throwing in the miss hit just to kind of show someone the sort of difference on that. So you would fall under, that's the strike.
Okay.
Tilting the head down, lowers the launch.
Right.
Actually didn't raise the spin too much, which is why you retained a bit of the distance and managed to get it out there, but you lost about 20 feet
Interesting.
versus your average.
And good to see with the lofts being a bit stronger than I guess super traditional. The ball's still actually flying higher, so it's a good result.
Yeah, and spinning.
And spinning plenty. Yep.
6,084 with a bit of a left to right draw.
It's lots.
Is good.
It's very good.
Really good.
Yeah, really impressed with those.
Okay, let's see 221.
Okay, so into the 221, the blade. It's a nice sound there.
Yeah,
In the middle of the green.
felt great.
Lovely. Quite a bit of spin on that.
Yeah, we'll see that with the extra loft there, the launch and spin.
Come up
Just
quite
up
a bit.
a little touch. The efficiency drops a little touch.
Yep.
So which is good, which is what you want. So, speed-wise, it's nice and high, but ball speed-wise, it's a bit softer.
Softer. And it'll be more about the consistency of seeing these numbers over the next few shots, won't it? It's very nice too. Pretty
Yeah,
similar.
quite similar, isn't it?
Yeah. Just about the same carry. Pretty much spot on for spin, maybe a degree lower in
Yeah.
launch, but same efficiency again, almost the same ball speed, almost the same carry. How's it feeling?
It feels great. That
Yeah.
one felt actually a bit better than the first one. I feel like I hit that. I mean, not that the results really show much of a difference, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing.
I mean, those were two essentially identical, aside from a little bit lower flight out of your
Yeah.
last one, just from a bit less launch angle. That was
A
it.
little less launch angle. If you look at the delivery number, it was just a hair steeper, that one, just under a degree steeper. So that's
do
going
it.
to just get it launching out a fraction lower. But, the spin rates and ball speed were literally identical,
amazing.
which is
That's-
great. A little bit more of a turn in that one, a bit high in the blade, maybe not as quick in the ball speed.
Okay.
But
Good.
I'd certainly
Great
take
result. Yeah, you did lose a little bit of ball speed, but it's
Yeah.
funny, your launch and spin are still very similar,
it. Very tight.
which is nice to see. So flew a couple yards shorter, your efficiency is a bit lower, which a blade's going to punish you a little bit, but not a bad result
Love
at
to
all.
see it.
That's nice there. Fading back.
Yeah, just holding his line a little bit.
Yeah,
I
there you
certainly would take it.
go. Definitely. It's really interesting though. I mean, even though that was different path there, obviously you got a little bit out to him, which is good, a little
Yeah.
bit steeper. Yeah, if you look at this, they kind of all peak very similar. This one was mishit, so it dropped a little shorter.
Kind of a bit like yours, isn't it?
Yeah, a little
it's
bit.
a bit like that 223 where
Yeah.
you know, 3 really nice ones, they were very similar. I just love how linear that,
Yes.
where they are in their kind of landing spot there.
Yeah, your carry distance was very consistently 175 or 176 pretty much
Yeah.
every single time. Very nice. Okay, let's move into the 225. 175 with the blade, 195 we're thinking with this 7-iron, which is 3 degrees stronger.
Yep.
And obviously hollow construction, a little bit of a thinner face. Should
Yeah.
see some pretty strong numbers off this. Really nice sound there.
And that's a big, strong ball.
That's crazy. Look at that. Yeah, just plenty to get there.
So very much the launch conditions that are carrying that, the additional. I mean, that wasn't a massive jump in ball speed because my
No.
swing was a little bit down in speed. I was just trying for solid contact in that one, but you know, the spin window was kind of what shot that forward. A drop in about, what, 1,500?
Yeah. Versus the 223 was probably about 1,300.
Yeah.
Versus the blade, a full 1,500
Yeah.
difference. It's still 105 feet in the air though. So 48-degree landing angle, 105 feet in the air. That's not the highest spin mid-iron ball. That's just a standard Pro V1.
Yep. So you could play with that and wrestle up,
Easily.
you know, 500 back, pretty comfortable.
You might be able to get 800 back with
Yeah.
that Wilson ball. Like,
I
who
know.
knows? That's a great
Slightly
sound
better
there.
strike there, probably.
Turning to the pin. Very nice. Yeah, really nice. It sounds very soft. Does it feel that way?
It feels great. It feels very soft.
I'm hearing no click from that at all.
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Crazy. That was even better, really.
Yeah,
little faster
quicker.
swing.
Probably more in line with what I would expect to see ball speed wise from it. 128 is quick.
It's very quick for a
Yeah.
7-iron, isn't it?
Yep.
So a little bit more spin on that. Sounded like just a slightly better strike.
It was.
Side by each. Very similar, just a little bit higher. So you flew that last one 109 feet instead of 105. That would make someone very happy, wouldn't it? It's a solid, I mean, it's 20 yards over the blade, which is not what most people would be coming from.
Yeah.
But if you are coming from the 223, I would say you probably would have picked up almost a club there.
Pretty
nice
neutral
there.
one. Probably not quite as good again, but
Still got
it's
plenty
a
of
tiny
carry.
target. I mean,
It
you'd
really
be
is.
over the moon with the result. Probably a controversial statement. I could play with that.
Yeah,
Easy.
you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to take it for a couple of rounds and go and see what it's like. You know, just short irons, mid irons are no brainer.
For sure.
But I would love to see whether that set would kind of give me my needs throughout the bag the way that the mid iron does. I mean, this feels fantastic.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to sound quite that good, but it looks like they've gone, there's no clickiness. It looks a lot more compact.
Yeah.
I don't know. What else could you be looking for?
Nothing much. Initial impressions, that's all we're here to do on this one. Nothing too deep. Tested all 3 sets with mid irons. Safe to say we're impressed. We saw what we probably expected.
I would say so. Yeah.
Maybe surprised by the ball speed of 225.
I would say 225 was the most, I guess, exciting of the 3. The 223 is really nice as well. I just don't know that it would have quite as much wow factor as that. So many more people I would think would be looking at. That's the P790 category that I think is turning into sort of the most popular.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
That would be one that you'd be missing out on if you don't demo it. I
Yeah.
would say.
And I think 223, which you tried, is kind of going to go up against T100S.
Yes,
they're
that's a
going to
good
do
point.
they're going to do battle head to head.
Yep.
Very interesting to see what people think because T100S keeps the stronger lofted progression, you know, and obviously 223 rolls it back a little bit.
Good point.
So it will be interesting to see what people think about that. And,
Definitely.
in the bay and what comes out in the testing, but.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Hard to. It feels more like, I think to me, I'm feeling more like a JPX launch because there's just that much performance. We're normally drilling over the looks, and we are drilling over the looks, but I think we're talking about real performance here. So I think maybe that's the benefit of having these, you know, side by side lines of JPX and MP or Mizuno Pro now. That you can take something from one and add it to the other and vice versa.
It definitely seems that that's exactly what they've done this year. Yeah, really good stuff.
Okay, guys, obviously going to be a big hit for 2022. You guys are going to get a little glimpse of it pre-Christmas, which is great. If you haven't already seen it, this is probably the first time you're going to get numbers associated to these 3 new models. So initial impressions are from us. overwhelmingly impressed.
Yeah, very, very good. Very good.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a deeper dive into the individual models, go into the long irons. We've done some mid stuff.
Yes.
We'll look at the shorts as well. And then we'll probably kind of bundle them all together and try and look at some similarities in launch conditions. So I think that'll give you maybe a better understanding for you personally when you look at this, where you might fall into one of these models.
Definitely for your fittings.
Yeah, I think that wasn't the objective of this video, but it certainly will be the objective of the next video.
Yeah, can't wait.
Good, stay tuned for that. We'll see you again soon.